Good morning. It is Wednesday, March 18th. It's 9 a.m. Time for our Money for Something webinar. Today's topic, let me get back to where I was. Today's topic is getting the buzz for your projects. And today's guest is Mark Vanderpool, and we're going to be working with him on his project, which is called the Dodecatimer. So today we're going to we're going to let him share some of his stuff. I'll show you a couple videos and whatnot. And then we're going to talk a little bit about how to reach out to media and using a tool called BuzzStream, which is brand new to me, and I'm just learning how to use it, so I thought I'd share that with you as well. So first, let me introduce you to Mark, or allow him to introduce himself. So you're on, Mark.
Hi, so I'm Mark Vanderpool, and I'm Adrian's partner, and one of the things that I do is I tinker with electronics and gadgets. I do it for a living, and just recently I've taken on creating this device which I'm calling currently a Dodecatimer, although it's also known as a time tumbler, and I'm about to start a Kickstarter campaign on it. I took Adrian's course last month, and I am keen to find out how to do this phase of getting people talking about it before, during, and after the campaign.
Awesome, thank you so much. I'm going to show folks your Dodecatimer. Let me get to my screen. There we are. So can you tell us a little bit about this picture? What is this?
So this gives you a concept design of some of the expressions of it, but the principle is that each of these shapes has a number on most of the faces, and the electronics inside knows when it's being moved and when it stops moving. So in the case of the colorful cube there, if it comes to rest with the number 10 at the top, it'll time 10 minutes. And after 10 minutes, it'll beep or buzz or chime or flash lights, something to let you know that the interval is up. And that's all there's to it. If you want to start a new time, you move it to another face, or move it and put it down with the same face, and it'll start timing whatever time is on the face, the uppermost face. The very foreground, there is a translucent version, which you'll see more of in a video, which looks really awesome. And the idea is really to show that any number of finishes and treatments can be made to this device. It's also possible to have simple cube shapes, 10-sided, 8-sided dice, 20-sided. So any number of time intervals can be created.
Thank you. Let me switch over to one of the videos he was talking about. Here we go.
Where's my music?
I heard it.
So the can you just show it again?
The video or what?
The video, please.
Okay.
So at the Portland Hackster.io hackathon, which I attended, gosh, it's only like 10 days ago, there was an opportunity to actually create a prototype and play around with some of the possible innards that I've been considering. The inside can be very simple, and there was lots of opportunities to try different flavors. But that really shows you the possibility of a translucent material and having the glow effect indicate time passing and time is up.
So, Mark, would you share with them a little bit of the process of the money for something intensive that got you to this point? So you created the video as part of that. There were several things that happened during the intensive that really motivated you and got you out there in the world. So talk a little bit about that.
So
What was
the
that like in the class?
so the money for something intensive really took me through step by step all the aspects of a crowdfunding campaign and what it would take to prepare for one. And for sure, I witnessed an expansion of my appreciation of the amount of work that goes into a well-run campaign. And I can certainly see a lot of campaigns on Kickstarter that were, you know, going to go the way that I was going to do it, which was not very well, not very far, and probably not funded. And it's really inspiring to hear the structure that Adrian provides in her workbooks to really create the immense depth that you need behind a successful campaign. And part of it is have a simple, clear story, which I experiment with at the hackathon. I could actually talk about it, and the simpler it was, the more people could understand. There is the aspect of, well, I mean, creating the video, so that having the experience at the hackathon allows me now to have more depth to my campaign, because I can reference that as a point in time where a real object got created. This is not just me talking about something, but there's people that touched it, and there was actually people responding to it. And another aspect of it is that, and this is what we're going to talk about today, is creating the buzz. Like, the more people are aware of the campaign beforehand, are looking for it, the bigger the initial impact will be when I do launch my campaign. And finally, there is the complexity, and it seems really simple on an actual Kickstarter campaign or any crowdfunding campaign, the complexity of the rewards that are offered. It's not just simply, a T-shirt and a bumper sticker and a logoed coffee mug and some other stuff. There is a whole slew of considerations behind the scenes, which items make sense at which pledge level, what actually makes sense as a story, like what would backers be interested in as they move up the cost of the pledge items. And there is also work to be done behind the scenes to make sure that you don't get overstretched. If any one of the items turns out to be super popular, could you actually deliver 10,000 of them? So all of that's now being captured in a spreadsheet that I'm working with, and it's really helpful to be cognizant of that, so that my campaign will actually succeed. The other part I learned was that the way I had it is, the campaign is, I'd almost say, like proof of concept. If people don't like it, then that's what it's for. What Adrian revealed to me is that no, the campaign is really a marketing tool to generate interest and get funding to actually deliver the product. So that was a mind shift for me. So I'm approaching the whole thing very differently now. So I think that was it. That's what I got out of the money for something intensive. The other part was the collaboration that got developed between the other participants and myself, and the brainstorming that occurred, and the things that were brought up that I would never have thought of, that really enhanced in my campaign. So that was a huge benefit to me. And finally, there was all the contacts I garnered through the other participants, because they were all movers and shakers in their own field and their own domains, and they've got contacts and experience and knowledge that's very useful to me, and they're willing to share that and give me the benefit of their knowledge, experience, and contacts, which is awesome.
So one of the things that we worked with Mark was customer profiles. So in thinking about how you're going to reach out into the community and how you're speaking about the Dodeca timer, would you share the impact that those customer profiles, those personas had?
Yeah, for sure. My initial how do I say this? Hang on a second.
I see you.
And was that I assumed it was going to be, not assumed, but I just thought of doing this as a target for coaches, for people that coach other people over the phone or in person, and they just want a little device on their desk that looks cool and does a simple thing very well, and that is tell them when the time is up for their client, and that would be a 45-minute, 30-minute, something like that. And that might still be a very viable market segment. And as I was sharing it with people, they were saying it would be great for my kids or for classrooms or for special needs education. And in fact, most people that I talk to about the timer are interested, but they get lit up once they realize it can be used by children so simply. Which is why I've created the name, the Time Tumbler, or Tumble Timer. I'm still vacillating between the two, as a much simpler name that might be more appealing to the young crowd, so to speak. So to that end, as a result of creating those personas, I've actually reached out and asked some educators to be on an advisory panel for me, so that I can get feedback as to things like colorings and the sizes and the time intervals that would actually be useful to an educator in a classroom setting, rather than where I was going, which was time intervals that would be useful for a coach. And I might have to have multiple versions, one suited for the one persona, the teacher, the child, and the other for a professional coach that needs something slightly different but still the same concept. So that's one thing that just rolled right out of the personas, is that I was focused on one, satisfying one need, which is the one that I identified, and as I was developing that, all these other needs showed up as well. So that was a really powerful discovery, and that would not have happened if I'd just gone ahead and done it my way.
Okay, would you mute yourself for just a moment? Awesome. And then I wanted to explore with you more how you'll be able to use these new connections. So you have people on your advisory panel now. You've reached out and done a couple of live competitions around the Dodeca timer, which is really fabulous, and that's extended your community. So now, how do you envision leveraging these new connections, or have you thought about it yet? And if you haven't, could we brainstorm that right now on the call?
Well, some of the connections are extraordinarily useful in terms of talent and experience with, for instance, licensing, comic book heroes or other such iconic figures to be on the faces of say, a child or a youth-oriented version. And I would never have thought of that. I wouldn't even have started tackling it. And one of the participants in Adrian's course is somebody who's done that numerous times and has the connections and the experience of how to negotiate that. So that's now something that's suddenly become possible for me. The rendering that you see on that Adrian showed off was actually done at the hackathon by, in this case, there was a team of people from AutoCAD there demonstrating their awesome Fusion 360 design software. And one of the people that joined my team was a graphics artist and designer, and he created the the model of the cube. And then he and I'm trying to remember his name. His name escapes me right now. But the two of them were so enthusiastic about the whole concept that they slaved for many hours creating the rendition here and creating a version that we could 3D print. So I would not have had this image if I hadn't, done these, this outreach, been out there talking to people. So those are two, very concrete outcomes from reaching out and talking to people. So that added skill to my team that I didn't even know I needed. Like for me, making these things and taking pictures of them would have been the way I would have done it, right? But this is a much more, it gets you a feeling much sooner in the process. And I can now experiment with a whole bunch of different things that, would be really hard to actually manufacture or create quickly, particularly. Well, quickly would be the key element here. So, and then there is so many people who are now interested and want to join the team and want to be a contribution in areas where, I've got it covered. Like the programming of the inside of the electronics is really simple and easy for me. And in fact, my experience was having other people help me with that slowed down the effectiveness of that portion of the development. So I have to be a little careful in picking who's actually going to be, a key contributor on the team, and make sure that their efforts are a contribution rather than just enthusiasm for the project, and they can't actually be a contribution. So I'm still dealing with that, and for sure some guidance would be useful. Like, is there a way that I can have people be part of the team in a way that I don't use their skills, but they still feel useful?
And what about media connections? Did that start to crop up during some of these events?
Well, one of the things that happened was because the hackathon by Hackster.io was actually a 10-city tour. There is a lot of there's a bit of longevity behind that. The fact that we won one of the prizes at the Portland show is significant because we got featured numerous times on their feed and on their webpage. And one of the organizers is particularly keen on the project, and she's backing it, so to speak, from her end, favoriting it, making suggestions on how to improve it on their website using their structure. And as a result of it being highlighted on Twitter, for instance, I've now got two technology Twitterers, I'm not sure what you call them, bloggers, I suppose, are now following me because of this exposure at the hackathon. So I have, right now it's a tenuous connection, but at least there is somebody who I can reach out to and say, hey, I noticed you're interested in this. This is what I'm doing next. Would you like to say something about it? Or or anything like that. So there's 3 places now where I can, people or connections I can approach to start the process of, my marketing buzz, so to speak.
All right, go ahead and mute yourself again. That's really fabulous. I want to take folks to another image that we used to kind of orient ourselves in the class. So this is a model of building out your strategy and your plan for how you're going to promote your campaign. And so this is something that Mark has seen before. I don't know if he recalls it or not, but it definitely helps you get a sense of all of the various activities that it takes to pull off a campaign. So when you think about crowdfunding campaigns, the primary thought you should have about it is that it's a marketing tool, as Mark said. That was one of the things that he learned. You can certainly test your products on crowdfunding websites, and it would behoove you to actually do some of that testing prior to launching your campaign so that you're in a phase 2 test, which is what Mark will be when he launches his campaign. So he's doing a lot of behind-the-scenes testing now and development, and he's now got this team he's working with. So he's got a few little foundational pieces that he's putting together. And so this image represents some of those foundational pieces. And he's right now in the learning and listening phases. And he's engaging in conversation. So he's starting to do these things on a small scale, and what he'll do over the next few weeks as he's developing his campaign content is he'll also do more of this in depth and start to move some of his learning along further, first by listening and of course doing a lot of research. Thank goodness for Google and the internet, eh? And really stepping into this part, engaging in conversations. So this is something that's ongoing in campaigning, whether you're just doing regular marketing campaigns or crowdfunding. It is particularly important in crowdfunding, engaging in conversation. And part of that engagement is related to media. So television, radio broadcasts, webcasts, bloggers, etc. And while we were doing this last intensive, we came across a tool called BuzzStream, and we're going to take a little peek at one of their videos in just a moment that sets you up to do these 3 things first well. Now over here on the right side of this image is prioritizing your objectives. Now these are not just the objectives of the campaign. Those objectives need to be tied into, if you're planning on creating a business out of this pitch or some kind of sustainable programs out of it. If you're an artist and you want to be able to develop a series for an exhibit, you can create sustainable campaigns, and that overarching goal, which is to get your pieces in a gallery and get them sold, could have several campaigns leading up to that. So one campaign could be that you're collecting all of the tools that you need. You know, paint costs a lot of money. Canvases, if you're a painter. Brushes, if you don't, you got to replace that stuff. Everything wears out or it gets used up. So an initial phase could be raising money to get your materials. The second phase could be then producing, say, reproductions of the works that are created by the materials that you've gotten, because of course you're probably pledging to people that you will deliver some level of work that results out of the materials that you've gathered. So some of your material would be committed to, say, some smaller paintings and little miniature portraits, or just different types of things for that first campaign. But you still have material to produce the big show, your 4 by 6 foot paintings that'll be exhibited in the gallery. So you can see that you can have, if you think long-term and strategic, that's all a business does. A business wants to be sustainable, just like your projects do. So when we're looking at the processes around any kind of crowdfunding campaign, we want to have it meld into the bigger objectives of your project life. So prioritizing objectives is on 2 levels. One is on the bigger level. What do you want to do over the next 12 months, and what is the ultimate goal of all that time and effort? And what are your short-term goals for these crowdfunding pieces? And if you think of a series of campaigns, think of crowdfunding as a series of campaigns, it will also allow you to create stretch goals, so you can start to foreshadow what it is that you're going to be doing later. So let's go back to the artist whose first campaign really is about collecting the correct materials. And out of that, you're receiving miniature artworks as a thank you gift from the pledge items. And we're going to say they're beautiful because that artist is very, very talented. So the next phase then would be producing the actual large artworks. Well, if you already have that project in mind as a possible second campaign, you can use that as a stretch goal. So it's even possible to have collectors commission works at those stretch goal levels. The gallery is going to want their exhibit and their money from the sales. So if you do choose to sell something as a pledge item during a stretch goal period of your campaign or a second campaign, then of course you've got to deal with the gallery as well. But you can still do it. You can still move into that second phase of your production and begin pre-selling your product. In the case of an artist, that would be artwork. Or it could be that phase 2 for you is not just producing the work for the gallery or the exhibit, but also producing reproductions of some of your older popular work, which is a great business strategy. It's recurring income off of work that you've already created. So you can start to see there's like a bigger picture to attend to. And that's where getting clear on your short-term and long-term objectives is really empowering for you as a campaigner. It will be the thing that gets you out of bed in the morning, because there's some tasks and activities related to promoting yourself that may not be something that you're excited about, and yet if the objectives are very clear to you and you're excited about those, you'll find that you've got levels of courage that you didn't expect before, etc. And you'll just be doing stuff that you never thought you'd do, including attracting team members to take on some of those aspects that you just absolutely know you're not all that skilled at, but they might be. So your objectives becomes one of those core foundational pieces that's absolutely critical. And it also helps inform who you reach out to in the media, what story are you telling those media people, whether they're bloggers, TV people, radio people. They have a specific market that they're addressing and that they're supporting, and you'll be able then to look at different aspects of your project and create a conversation that suits they and their market perfectly, and that happens when you do the groundwork. Establishing governance is really taking a look at what's available to you out there, and again, this is foundational work, and it's also ongoing, just like the learning, listening, and engaging, measuring and refining. This is just an ongoing process. as you move along in putting your campaign together and running your campaigns, you'll start to develop skill sets in each of these areas that you just didn't have previously, and that's what we do. We practice, and we practice, and we practice until we become really, really good at the very thing that's going to move us into the lifestyle and life that we're really wanting. So in the case of an artist, that's to be an artist full-time very often. And in the case of Mark, it might be that what he wants to do is invent all kinds of amazing little gadgets that are playful and fun and beautiful and that contribute to people's lives in what seem like minute ways, but really have a profound impact on how one structures one day and one goes about their day. So defining activities, so this is your to-do list. This is the planning part. Once you've got your objectives and you've established your governance, then you can see how over time this will play out, and that's when you create your milestones and your activities. And so part of that, of course, is identifying those bloggers and those media people who are enthusiastic about your project. So Mark already, just in the process of doing the background work, has Twitter personalities within the world that matters to what he's up to, who he can create a relationship with over time by staying in touch with them and seeing what they're tweeting and commenting on those tweets and letting them know where he is in his process and all of that stuff. So ongoing creation of a relationship is something that Mark has access to now. I'll post this image on the webinar, the Money for Something webinar community, and you'll have access to it there. If you're not a member of that community, I may need to check the settings, but you should be able to request membership in the community. And we keep it private, so all of the information really is about what it is that we're learning together, which is how to create crowdfunding success. Okay, so I'm going to go back to Mark again and ask him to deepen the exploration now that we've reviewed that process a little bit. Was there anything new that you heard for yourself or you could see that you can do a little bit at a time as you're moving forward with your project?
Well, one of the things that I see now is I can actually be more public about what I'm doing. Like, I don't actually have to have my team together and then start being public about what I'm doing. I can actually be public about creating the team and twittering about the steps I'm taking, the size of the team, like just creating, or not being creating, but allowing people to see the process unfolding as it's unfolding, rather than worrying about having everything ready behind the scenes and then bang, Kickstarter campaign starts. You know, I understand that before that happens, I will announce it's about to start and I create interest. But the way to do that is to let people know how it's building, and I hadn't contemplated that yet. Like, that's useful to see right now. And I'm going to look at what this governance actually means, because to me that sounds something I want to avoid. But because, you know, I'm from the UK, so a governor is, you know, the big boss or the person who controls your life. And the whole point of doing this is that I'm controlling my life, so no governance, thank you. So I'm sure it has a different meaning, but that's what came up for me.
Okay, would you go ahead and mute yourself? Let me address that directly. There's this idea that when you go out on your own that you're in control of every aspect of your life. And I'll tell you, as a serial entrepreneur for 30-some years, you really, it's important to understand that You go from maybe a single boss and a manager to every customer is your boss, which is really the core of great customer service, is really understanding that even though you may have the desire to be on your own, the reality is you won't succeed without other people. So let me just destroy that expectation that you're in complete control of your life. Now you're always in complete control of your life and how you live it and the choices that you make. And when you go into creating something for others, even if it's one other person, one might consider that you're not 100% in control, as it were. And let's talk about governance for a bit. So I'm going to pull up that slide again, because it is kind of it's got that dictatorial overtone to it. So establishing governance is actually you establishing your territory. Like, where are you going to play? Excuse me. So if we go step by step, let me see if I can blow this up a bit. Excuse me for just a moment. Sorry about that. Let me see if I can get this bigger. Maybe. Oops. Oh, go the other way. Pardon me. All right, I've completely messed that up now. All right, so let me see if I can fix what I've just done. Here we go. All right. Okay, that's just completely and totally ruined now. So governance is really, as I said, it's related to you establishing your quote-unquote territory, or the playground. It might be a more fun way to look at it, the playground where you want to play. And so you're looking at several different areas around that. One is, where do you want to play? Like, who, and that includes those personas that Mark was talking about a little earlier. Who do you want to play with? Who's going to love what it is that you do, regardless of what it is you do? So you're going to identify those people, and those become part of your governance. They're part of your playground. Who is interested in talking about what you do and why you do it and how you do it. And those are the media personalities. Those are your bloggers in particular. And they are one of those aligning groups that are absolutely critical in moving any project forward. They're a different kind of fan. So you've got the fans who want what you're making, and then you've got the fans who love what you're doing because they're in that same realm with you. And a lot of the bloggers and media people fall into that category. Governance also looks at other opportunities that may be available to you. So an opportunity for Mark around the Dodeca timer, he expanded that opportunity when he started sharing it in class, and he was getting feedback from the other members in the intensive, and he started to see that there were more opportunities available to him than he had initially expected. Well, that's good news. That gives you more possibility in seeing where what you want to do is going to impact in the way that you want to impact those arenas and those communities. So it could be that he refocuses his attention on kids and supporting other parents, because he is a parent. He's got a 12-year-old daughter, and she's going through what 12-year-olds go through. And timing of things and maintaining a schedule is one of those bugaboos. And so perhaps as he empowers himself, as he develops this with his daughter, it's something that he can see could really, really benefit the other parents that he knows and the other parents in the world. And that may be the market that he chooses to play in, that little chunk of the playground. That'll be that sandbox, and that'll be the first sandbox he plays in. And then maybe the coaches will just rise up and say, wait, you started with us, we want it too. And then, you know, as his team grows and as his sales grow, because people love and use what he's developing and providing for them, then he can expand with the appropriate resources in place, because you don't want to burn out. Then he can expand into that other market. There's another point in governance, and I don't have the thing out, but again, you're really looking at defining your playground, looking for the right playmates, providing the right toys to play with and share around, and looking for those folks who are geeks like you, who are in certain positions that can really get the message of what you're doing out there. So now that I've explained that, what do you think?
Well, okay, if you call it defining the playground, then I'm all in for that. So thanks for taking the time to explain that. For sure, there is. It'd be really great. No, not great. It would be essential and very useful to define, you know, not just the personas that I've identified, but the marketplace that they live and breathe in. Like, where do parents and kids go, where I might want to have a presence, which would be completely different from where do coaches go, where I might want to have a presence. So that alone is like, wow, yeah, for sure I need to have a couple of prongs and start focusing on one, because I can't stretch too thin. And I don't want to be so far removed from the markets. Like, I could say, well, everybody shops online, so I'll just go online, right? That's not quite, you know, that's too broad a brush. I need to really focus on, well, where do kids and parents congregate, online or wherever in real life too. And that's probably very little overlap with where do coaches congregate and spend their time and attention. Now, both might be online, but I really need to focus where, and, you know, who do they pay attention to, and where do they pay that attention, so that I can be effective in, you know, really focusing on that aspect in group. So real life is intruding, excuse me. So yeah, so thanks for governance.
You're welcome. Okay, I'm going to bring up, so BuzzStream, let me get my screen over there. So this is BuzzStream, and it was recommended by another educator in the crowdfunding arena, and he really loves this tool, and so I went and checked it out while we were in our intensive, and what I've seen of it so far, I really, really like. I'm going to play their video here. It's 2 minutes and 30 seconds, so...
Adrian?
Can you hear it now?
No, can you read it? Not the beginning.
And more. So that's how you add contacts to BuzzStream. You can find more resources at www.buzzstream.com/help,
So there wasn't any.
and you can always reach out to us through email or
until
Twitter.
just now.
Okay, Mark says that there wasn't any audio, so I'm going to replay it because it's important that you get the content here. And it's just 2 minutes and 30 seconds, so we're going to go through it again. I'm going to turn the speaker way up so my microphone gets a hold of it. Okay, here we go.
Hi, I'm Paul. Today I'm going to show you how to add websites and people to your BuzzStream account and how BuzzStream can save you time researching them. There are a number of ways to add contacts to your account, including the Buzz marker, the import tools, and the prospecting module. Let's start by adding websites to BuzzStream by importing in from a list. First, I'll click Add Websites. Then I'll select Add from List of URLs, and I'll paste in a list of domains. Then I'll click Add Websites. Once I've imported my list, BuzzStream goes to work in the background to eliminate time I normally spend researching those sites. It searches for contact information, metrics, and recent content from the website. If you're using another tool like Open Site Explorer to source opportunities, the file import option makes it easy to add them to BuzzStream. Just open the Add Websites dropdown and select Import from Existing File. Choose your file, and then BuzzStream guides you through the steps. Again, BuzzStream automatically researches these sites for you, saving you time and effort. Now let's look at how you add websites to your BuzzStream account while you're viewing them. First, we'll find a good prospect site. Then I'll click the Buzz marker, BuzzStream's bookmarklet, and BuzzStream adds that website and page to your BuzzStream account. Once again, BuzzStream collects metrics, contact information, and social profiles. You can also rate and tag sites, and more. So that's how you add contacts to BuzzStream. You can find more resources at www.buzzstream.com/help, and you can always reach out to us through email or Twitter.
Okay, so I think you can see how amazing this could be. I mean, BuzzStream scrapes the sites where your bloggers do what they do, and the media sites, and just anywhere that you could potentially be mentioned, and it makes that whole process way less time consuming. Like a tenth of the time is pretty much their promise. That's quite a bit. That's saving a lot of time doing something that's absolutely critical for your projects. I want to take a look at one more of their videos, and it's called Link Prospecting with BuzzStream. So we're going to take a look at that, and then I'm going to get back with Mark, and we're going to see what he got out of these two videos and what potential he sees for reaching out to other folks that can help him. So here we go.
Hi, I'm Paul, and today I'm going to show you how to use BuzzStream's prospecting module. BuzzStream makes your prospect research more efficient by deduplicating prospecting results, gathering link metrics for each site, and automatically searching for contact information. To use the prospecting module, first click the Research button. In this example, I'm looking for guest blogging opportunities for BuzzStream. So I'll use queries that find guest post opportunities in the online marketing space. When you're selecting keywords, the most important thing to remember is that the keywords that return great link prospects are usually different than the keywords that you're trying to rank for. For example, if I own a travel site, entering keywords like flights to New York are going to return competitors that are unlikely to link to me. But if I search for opportunities like guest posts, link pages, or infographic pages, I'm more likely to find people who are interested in my content and thus likely to link to my site. After entering my terms, BuzzStream will begin searching for prospects. This usually takes a couple of minutes. Now, once BuzzStream returns your results, it gathers SEO metrics like domain authority, so I can prioritize my outreach. It also looks for contact information, so I don't have to spend time looking for it on each site. BuzzStream also deduplicates my results, so I don't waste time reevaluating prospects I've already seen or that are already in my BuzzStream account. Now let's look at a link opportunity and see if it's a good fit for my campaign. I can view each opportunity from the link column. Let's start with inbound.com. I can see this site is well designed. It has strong editorial guidelines. It's a great fit with my audience, and it has social traction. So it'll be a great fit for a guest post for my campaign. I'll go back to BuzzStream, and I'll mark it as qualified. Let's look at another site. Now this site is less well designed. It has a strong focus on bloggers rather than marketers. It has a lot of ads too. So it's not a great fit for my campaign. Given this, I'll go back to my list and I'll mark it as unqualified. I can also see that some sites are off topic, like this site about embroidered patches. They'll never be a great fit for my guest posting efforts. So I'll put these sites in our blacklist, and they'll never show up in my prospecting results again. So that's how you use the prospecting module in BuzzStream. If you'd like to learn more, go to support.buzzstream.com. And you can always reach us by email at support@buzzstream.com.
So automation in doing your campaigns is really important, and a tool like BuzzStream is one of those tools that can really aid you tremendously. So, Mark, I want to come back to you. And how do you see that this tool could impact your campaigning?
Well, I can see that. I'm getting an echo. Hang on.
Oh, it's my fault. Go ahead.
I can see that. I'm overwhelmed by that tool, for instance. But I'm sure there's people out there who know how to run it and would want to be on my team and support my campaign. So there is, like, I'm excited it's available because I can, if I'm attracting people who want to be on my team and they have an interest in doing that, they can then be super effective. Like, I can promise that they don't have to spend all the time that it could take to do the research that we need. So, and the other part is that if it is truly that efficient, I could even take on some of it myself. And I'm like, well, do I really want to? Am I interested in learning managing BuzzFeed and bringing out my message, or do I really want to find someone who's super good at that and is excited by my product or project and wants to join me? So I might do both. I might actually find someone through doing a BuzzFeed search who's available to join my project. So that's what I got from that. It's a real exciting tool, and I'm glad it exists, and I'm like overwhelmed by the implications of the work that, like, I wasn't even aware that this work needed to be done. So now knowing this work needs to be done and being told it can be done at 1/10 the effort is still like, well, before there was no effort. And now there is 1/10 of some huge amount of effort. It's still a huge amount of effort. So that's my initial reaction, but it's only because it's unknown right now. And I'm glad it's there, and it looked really simple to use. Like, I could even do it, and I'm cautious because I know how easy it is for me to get completely engrossed in something like that and then spend way longer than I really need to, or is even beneficial for what I'm interested in doing. So thank you for pointing that out.
That's awesome. All the points that you brought up, the potential negatives, were so perfect because they're, I mean, first, we have this desire to have crowdfunding be so simple. And it is when you're pledging and you're reading stuff and you're looking at what people have posted. But when you're the person who's doing the campaign, it's a little more complex. And so there's a key word in crowdfunding that I would love all of you to like put front and center, and that's crowd. And crowd isn't just the fans that you hope to attract and the customers that you hope to grow. Crowd is the team that would be so much more fun to play this game with if you had them. You know, so doing what Mark did, like taking the opportunity to look at tools that are available that really will positively impact his campaign. You could sort of see him in the monitor as he's watching those falling asleep, and that's awesome for him to notice because it may not be the piece of the project for him to take on, and so he sees that. And I mean, you guys heard it. It really is one of those fabulous opportunities to expand beyond yourself. Remember, this is crowdfunding. It's crowds behind the scenes as well as in front. So use these tools, build those crowds, get your buzz going, and we'll just have fun playing out there in the big, wide world. All right, thank you so much for joining us today. We'll be back in a couple weeks, the first Wednesday of April. And I forget what the topic is, but it's on the website. Go to moneyforsomething.com, and 4 is the numeral 4, not FOR, so moneyforsomething.com. And we'll see you next broadcast. Bye.